Well, in Washington, everybody is steadfastly denying that there is any crisis at the border, and you're crazy if you think there is. Meanwhile, the people who are actually watching the border and spent a career trying to protect the border have a very different view. They're preparing for a record-setting wave of migrants coming this spring. Mark Morgan was Border Patrol Chief under President Obama, and he joins us tonight. Mr. Morgan, thanks very much for coming on. So this is not at all, I keep hearing, even from guests we have on this show, but certainly on the other channels, and they're never, ever challenged, that we are at record low levels of illegal immigration. So what are these numbers?
So first of all, it's just another false narrative among many. Right now, we are facing skyrocketing numbers at the border. The Border Patrol right now, CBP is estimating if the numbers continue at this pace, Tucker, we could reach 900,000 or 1 million apprehensions this year. But real quickly, the difference between the 90s and 2000s are the demographics. In the 2000s, we had 1 million, but 90% of them, Tucker, were removed. This year, we could reach 1 million. The difference is because they're family units and children, we will release 65% of that million. 650,000 will be released into the United States. That's the difference. It's a crisis.
So of that, I mean, to the extent that we know, so of that 65%, how many will ultimately be deported?
Right now, if you look at the asylum laws and you look at other judicial activism that has just been passed, right now, after you've had due process and you've had your hearing, now the court just ruled you can appeal that hearing. That's basically a lower court creating amnesty. So basically, as a family unit or child seeking asylum, you're here indefinitely.
So, in other words, all that, the propaganda that we were hearing last year about child separations, and you saw all the people crying on television about it, and, you know, Trump's a Nazi and all this stuff, that was all a pretext for setting up a system in which nobody could actually be deported.
That's absolutely correct, and they knew that. They absolutely knew that, Tucker. They know because of Flores, they pulled a number out of the air that you can't detain kids more than 20 days. So now the kids are being used as pawns. We actually have information that kids are being trafficked across and then sent back to Mexico, and they come back across with another adult so they can all become entered in the United States.
Why isn't this being covered on other channels? I mean, not that you're in charge of their news coverage, but this seems like a significant story. Shouldn't there be some other news outlet other than this one that notices it?
Yes, and I think that for the men and women that are risking their lives every day on the border, I think this is what's so frustrating to them because political ideology is so infused on this, and they know the truth. And that law enforcement, Tucker, we can only draw one conclusion, that this is being driven by political ideology rather than doing what's in the best interest of the safety and security of this nation, as well as those illegally entering. Kids are being abused and used as pawns more and more every day because Congress won't do their job, Tucker.
It's really stunning. Mark Morgan, thank you very much for coming on tonight. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.